Yeah, we'll have some people on the left-hand side scrolls in case if...
conversation together doesn't mean anything for the game.
Done before. Just come in the middle a little bit more. Yeah.
Can we make it a handshake if that's all right?
Every year?
Curly nearly choked up yesterday. It was full on.
What was the dance move that he did, mate?
Oh, mate,
Was it the eel?
Yeah, well, he had the snake going at the front.
That's what I thought. I couldn't like it was the eel.
Yeah, serpent, maybe now. Yeah.
That looked good.
Mate, I know.
It's absolutely, when I've spent a lot of time around the game, clearly, and the game's been something that I'm incredibly passionate about, and I see a fantastic opportunity with the people who exist in the game at the moment, the want, the desire for improvement, and the desire from the general public to see things improve. And we all remember when rugby's been great and the things that it gives to us. We need to get back there.
Is that what motivated you to take the role?
Absolutely. And it's also around competency. I've played and been lucky enough to play in teams that have won every single trophy on the planet, just about, that we've competed for. I've had the great privilege of being in sides that understood how to win, and that's something that I took great delight in throughout the course of my career, and I'd love to be a part of an opportunity to see teams in Australia win more often. Clearly, we haven't won enough. Every day that I walk into St Leonard's here, and every opportunity I get, I'll be thinking, what can I do today to get us, to give us a better opportunity to win?
You've been an elite level player, obviously, also a very well regarded analyst. In terms of coaching, what kind of qualifications or qualities will you bring in terms of assembling that national coaching panel there?
Well, I think what we really have in this country is a tremendous amount of knowledge. So there's one part around collaboration and just knowledge. There is an existing database of people and conglomerate of people who have capability to change the game. They need a voice, they need to be recognised in that process, and they need to be given the opportunity to add value to a collective thought process. We need to establish in Australia a concept of a unity of purpose, what it is we're about, what are the things that when somebody looks at an Australian team play, they can immediately identify. Because at the moment, I don't think we've got that. We've seen it in parts, but we haven't had it. When Australia was great, we recognised that there was a team who were innovative, they were thoughtful, they were prepared to bring something a little bit different. They're the qualities that many people regard Australian rugby as having, and we played a running game of rugby. Is that still relevant today? We have to determine what's the right mechanism for the game at the moment.
How much of a say do you expect to have in, say, like Super Rugby coaching appointments and that sort of thing?
There'll be some collaboration. It'll be a collective thought process, and I think there's a collective group of people who I think want to make change, recognise the need for change. What we've been doing, probably people recognise hasn't been as successful as we want it to be. So there's absolutely a commitment to change. So change means different thoughts, different ideas. I'm going to provide some of that challenge.
Ben mentioned about the style of play. So you're looking at something, implementing a system where all the Super Rugby sides play a similar style, and that filters into the national side?
Not at all. That's not the concept. I think when we look at the skill set, we all recognise that people have different skills and different ways of doing things. But every player who gets to a Super Rugby or a professional rugby should be able to catch and pass the ball consistently under pressure. And all of us would sit back and go, how come that guy can't catch and pass? What's breaking down? And that is skill development. I think within the skill sets of players, we should position players who get into professional rugby and who then develop through professional rugby who have a skill set that's consistent and that it's appropriate for the level of rugby that they've got. And we probably don't always get that at the moment.
The game's obviously, everyone's got, at the elite level, everyone has their own coaching imperatives, self-interest can often dominate. We're not a government, it's not a centralised government structure. How do you get this done at an elite level, what you want to do?
I think there'll be. I think there has to be some thoughts around the structure of the game as part of this, and the structure of how we deal with high performance. That's going to be critical to ensuring that we get a system in place where the high performance teams are all collaborating. We've talked a lot about it, and it's going to happen. I don't think there's any doubt that it's not something that's not wanted by everybody in the system. Everybody sees the benefit of that. So when you talk about the concept of self-interest, when there's opportunity and when there's something in it for that person, I think they'll really see the value. So I don't see that being structurally an issue.
How soon do you think that will happen?
I think over the course of the next 6 to 12 months, we'll start to see some of those elements.
Do you think that the results at a Super Rugby level have forced that? Like there's basically no counter-argument to the sort of change that you're proposing?
I think people who fundamentally want to win, coaches, rugby teams, they want to win and they want to be successful. When they find that for whatever reason they can't, they become a little bit vulnerable and they're asking for help. And we've got a situation where I think many of them are asking for help. We've seen that in some of the commentary from our coaches. We've seen that in some of the commentary from boards and CEOs, that they don't have all the answers. Let's find a way to do it. And surely collaboration and creating a best practice model for Australia, and something that is not written in stone, but that's a fluid document and a fluid idea that changes and evolves and develops with the best minds thinking about how we can do that is something that I want to play a role in developing.
What impact will you have on the Super Rugby decision? Obviously, Twiggy Forrest came out and said, "I'll bankroll the team." It's a lot of money to put in. Does that, obviously, as a high performance boss, does that give you confidence that they are the team to stay, or what impact will that have?
Well, I'm not the high performance boss, and I've got no idea around that decision. It's not something I've even contemplated.
How many people would you think would be comfortable in terms of a high performance national coaching advisory panel? What kind of number are you looking at there?
Well, I think there's probably 6 to 8 people who may want to feel like that they can make a contribution. There may then be some real areas of specialty, some subject matter experts who I think will be able to make a contribution to that as well, who from time to time will be engaged and involved in that process.
There's obviously a lot of Aussies coaching around the world and that sort of thing. Is that part of the plan to maybe bring some guys back and increase the depth here? Absolutely.
I think one of the things that's really easy to do in coaching is to find good people, give them an opportunity and then let them go. And that's the nature of coaching. What we think would be a better solution would be to continue to engage in those people. And we've seen some of the greatest coaches in the history of rugby have come out of very unsettling and troubling times. And there's been many of them who've been sacked and unceremoniously let go, who've ended up reinventing themselves, learning from those mistakes and become much better coaches for the lessons. And we see it, and you all know the coaches who've been sacked at various different times and have come back and done very good jobs, both here and abroad. That's our opportunity, is to ensure that good people get the opportunity to continue to evolve and continue to get better.
Do you think that's kind of damaged Australian rugby in a sense, that so many guys have tend to just go and not really come back?
The great opportunity for us is those guys who've gone, have learnt something new, have become better. For that, it's the process of coaching. There are only so many jobs. You have to go overseas, you have to do these other things. But we also have an obligation to try to retain that IP, understand the goals and motivations, continue to work with those coaches and develop them so that when they do eventually come back, if they do, that they're better for the experience.
At the top of the pyramid there, does Czech need any support of any kind, or is this more aimed lower down in the structure?
Every single coach, in my experience, needs support. It is a tough job being a coach. It is a all-encompassing role. You're on display every time your team runs out. You are on display to the world, and that's challenging. And I think every coach welcomes more support.
I know they raised the issue of conditioning as well after those mid-winter tests. Is that something you've noticed as well?
I think one of the things in and around high performance is athletic performance of our players, and that's certainly another area that I've got no doubt will continue to be invested in, and looking at how we can improve the athletic conditioning of our players, who are a great asset for us. They're the guys who run out, guys and girls who run out every single week to perform. They need to be in a systemised program that manages them across not just seasons but years, and manages them in a way that is going to get the best outcome.
You're concerned, I mean, obviously we're going to be losing one Super Rugby team. You're concerned there's going to be few opportunities for coaches at top level in this country? I
think what we'll see is the bar get raised like it will for players. As the demand diminishes, we will see an improvement in performance. So what we should get is some of our good coaches striving to become better so that they can retain those roles.